A few months ago, I read the comic Dragon King's Bride, and when I had finished reading, I thought, wow, there can't possibly be anything more wild or confusing than this. I'll never find anything as wild or confusing as this. Have I peaked? Surely there can't be anything weirder in the world than the main character's mom being the kingdom's most famous prostitute, or the leads meeting when one is a child and the other is an ageless dragon man, or them being able to survive hardcore dragon sex. I stopped eating. I stopped sleeping. I stopped drinking Dr. Pepper. I was utterly lost.
Man, I hope she doesn't die.
That was weird.
Man, I sure hope the second bride doesn't die.
What is going on? What is happening? My editor Micah found a solution to my problem. He had discovered possibly the weirdest, horniest, but sexless webcomic ever created. Written by the same author as the Dragon King's Bride! Yeah! Imagine my sheer delight at this discovery. Finally, something that was as goofy and out of pocket as the Dragon King's Bride. I got all settled at my desk with my spreadsheet open, ready to tackle this new and exciting comic. With everything ready, I finally laid eyes on Can Love Blossom in a Poisoned Heart? Oh man, I actually have to read it. This is actually weirdly a first for me. I have actually never thought to read two comics from the same author until now, but I had so much fun with Kangi's prior work.
You should eat while it's still hot.
Why do you have a Subway sandwich?
Answer a Subway sandwich!
That I decided to give it a go, and boy howdy, what a ride it was. We begin our story with a little girl running through a forest. Sasha, our main protagonist, is trying to save her dying mother by finding a magical stream that's said to heal any illness. Sasha has just filled up a vial with this magical spring water when she is caught by the kingdom's young prince, Paris. They have a brief conversation where he asks Sasha what the hell she's doing. After telling Paris she's trying to save her mother, Sasha also tells Paris that she'd rather die in her mother's place because she loves her mom so much. And then a giant monster appears and bites Sasha, leading Paris to say one of the most savage things I have ever read.
It looks like you'll get to die after all. Are you happy now?
Little boy, you were like 10 years old. Stop trying to be such a edgelord. Sasha begs Paris to save her, and he only says yes if she promises to do anything for him in return. Yikes. Sasha agrees, and this prompts Paris to cut his wrist open and throw his blood onto the monster. This causes the monster to shrivel up and die. Now you might be wondering why the monster died after Paris did this. The answer is simple. Paris has poisoned blood, and that is the entire explanation. I told you it was a simple explanation. Paris then brings Sasha to her father and tells him he won't tell anyone Sasha was trespassing. Sasha's dad then thinks to himself about how the devil's child showed him a different side, and I found that line really silly.
The devil's child! He showed me a different side today! He didn't send my daughter to be hung! He saved my daughter, instead of cutting her head off and filling it full of hot snakes! What a nice guy!
Sasha is in critical condition, so in order to save her, Olga, their maid, tells Sasha's dad to hire a sorcerer in order to cure Sasha. Sasha's dad is unsure, saying that sorcerers are a product of superstition. So keep in mind, we have magical life-saving water, giant monsters, and poison blood, but sorcery is absolute hogwash. Completely unheard of in this universe. So in the next chapter, we meet the universe's most powerful sorcerer, Lars. I guess it wasn't that hard to find a sorcerer. Maybe Sasha's dad has just been living under a rock and completely missed the magical sorcerer revolution. Lars is a powerful and mysterious sorcerer who cures Sasha instantly. Let's play a game of Can You Guess? Can you guess how Lars cures Sasha? Does he 1. Bring Sasha to the elf forest that ages her up 3 years? Does he 2. Turn her into a vampire? Does he 3. Bury the 12th bride of an old man alive? Does he 4. Give Sasha some royal anxiety medication? Take a second to lock in your answer. He turns her into a vampire! But don't worry if you guessed wrong. All of those other options are also real occurrences that happen in the story.
I did it! I saved your daughter!
No way! She's alive?
No. Not quite.
I must drink blood! So now that Sasha is turned into a vampire, you might be wondering how Sasha staves her bloodlust.
I actually wasn't.
Shh! In order for Sasha to survive her new life as a vampire without killing people, she has to drink the blood of a golden canary for every meal. Our babe Sasha also drinks it out of a wine glass, which is just very girl boss. Now, if you will, please consider the following. I know I'm not a math channel, but bear with me for a second here. This looks like it's around 5 ounces of blood, right? Probably. Let's just go with 5 ounces of blood. And Sasha has to have at least 3 cups a day to keep her satiated. While golden canaries don't actually exist in our world, they look around the same size as a regular yellow canary. So, for the sake of this hypothetical, we will use regular non-magic yellow canaries instead. Now, the amount of blood in a canary is 10% of its body weight. The average weight of a canary is 20 grams, meaning it will have 2 milliliters of blood. So, to fill the average wine glass, which is about 5 ounces, that means you have to kill 75 birds per cup. This means at 3 meals a day, you have to kill 225 canaries a day just to fill this 5-ounce cup 3 times for Sasha. So, on a yearly basis, Sasha slaughters 82,125 canaries just to survive. But it gets worse! Obviously, we don't know the canary population of the world she lives in. That said, in our world, the real world, there are around 100,000 to 160,000 canaries in the world. Meaning, if no canaries breed, that only gives her maybe 2 years to live tops. That's being extremely charitable because golden canaries are extremely rare in this world and can only be created by magic or found in the elf forest. Now, let's think of some hypothetical solutions to Sasha's problem. They have to either A, breed these birds worse than a puppy shop during Christmas season, B, hunt the elf forest to damn near extinction, or our last and my personal favorite option, C, there's a sweatshop of wizards magicking up these golden canaries. One more comparison for the road. If we price each golden canary at $1 American, which is extremely generous because buying a canary is anywhere from $10 to $400, that means that Sasha will spend more money per year on eating canaries than the average American family will make in that same calendar year. So let me ask you, what is more ethical here? Letting an entire species of rare golden canaries go extinct? Or letting Sasha go extinct? You choose. Thank you for joining me on Consider the Following. So, bird genocide aside, Paris is now of age to marry, but mysteriously, every single one of his brides falls dead as soon as he kisses them. And all of the horses in the fields he watches over. And all of the monkeys in their kingdom's private zoo. We find out later that Paris's evil stepmother Sortney has been using black magic to kill the brides, but we never find out why all the horses are dying. Or why all the monkeys are dying. Why are all the animals being murdered in this story? He's not kissing on the monkeys, is he? Don't let the fact that the kingdom's monkeys are all dying distract you from remembering that the villain's name is Sortney. Sortney is the main villain of the comic who seduced Paris's dad while his mom was pregnant with Paris. This made Paris's mom so sad, she died.
We don't know why. She has lost the will to live.
She's dying.
Naturally, this makes Paris's dad so angry he starts beating him. Forever. Meanwhile, he dotes over Sortney's 2 perfect, unproblematic children, Shelby and Erica. Kingy thinks Shelby is his real son, but little does he know, Sortney has been hardcore cheating on him with the world's 2nd most powerful sorcerer, a man named Zahar.
Who honestly has much more of a wizard name.
Yeah.
If I had to pick, if I was going to like sorcerer school and they were like, you have to pick your professor, go to Lars or Zahar. Zahar's getting my vote every time.
That's true. The pair have been conspiring against Kingy in order to put Shelby on the throne. Some of these spells including, but not limited to, making Kingy beat Paris for 20 years, killing all of Paris's brides, killing all of the kingdom's horses, killing all of the kingdom's monkeys. After Paris's third bride falls dead after kissing him at his wedding, Kingy threatens Paris, saying he'll send him away if his fourth bride dies, and strip his prince title away from him. So, after 10 years and barely one conversation, Paris thinks the best course of action is to then force Sasha into a marriage with him. Remember how the last story written by the same author had a piss-poor excuse for consent? And also started with a young girl running through the forest? And also had the exact same main characters? And also sucks? I'm kidding. I love you. After they get married, Paris and Sasha then go to a family dinner where Paris tells Sasha to drink an entire bottle of anti-acid beforehand because his family is so unbearable to be around. Anti-acid. Their words, not mine. No, this is not how antacid works. Here we meet the rest of Paris's evil family. Erica, Paris's evil stepsister, is into him. Like, really into him. Like, really, really into him. Like, the story makes it extremely clear to us that Erica wants to date her stepbrother. But the really weird thing is that no one ever seems to care if Erica wants to be in this semi-incestuous relationship with Paris. Like, Paris is not into her, but everyone else just turns a blind eye. I'm so serious. There are even points in the story where people encourage Paris to be nice to Erica. Straight up, Sortney even tries to roofie Paris with a love potion so that he'll fall in love with her daughter, Erica! Erica wanting to bang her stepbrother is just treated as if a child is telling someone they really want a pet dragon. The parents know that'll never happen, and the people the kid tells this to knows dragons don't exist, so everyone is just waiting for Erica to grow out of her infatuation for Paris. The problem with this being, Erica is not a child. She is a grown-ass woman. So the fact that no one tells her that no, you can't f your stepbrother is really weird. And if I'm being completely transparent, I kinda thought the comic was alluding to Erica having some type of mental disability. Erica only talks about herself in the third person. Erica wears her hair in ponytails. She only has one specific interest, which is Paris. I genuinely thought she had some sort of developmental delay, and that's why none of the characters were like being mean to her, and they were just like, oh, Erica, you silly little goof, you for wanting to marry your stepbrother. But none of the characters make any reference to that, so I guess she's just like that. If I had to put a finger on why it came across like that as a reader, I would chalk it up to just a poor translation and bad writing. Can't forget about bad writing. Speaking of poor translation, I have a theory about whoever translated this comic. They translated it in an hour with English they learned from watching the Apple Dumpling Gang. It's full of blatant mistakes, as well as words I have not heard used unironically this side of the 21st century. The characters will say things like country bumpkin or ski-daddle when the conversation was clearly supposed to be tonally serious and tense.
Damn it, Bruce! You said you'd take care of the alarm. I knew you were good for nothing, you pathetic piece of garbage!
Well, gee, Pa, I thought I cut the wire, but I must have drank too much of that there giggle juice, and now I'm proper skedaddled.
Bruce, what the hell?
On the note of that magical roofie, it's a little weird. Hans, Paris's right-hand man, finds out that Erica is planning to slip some love roofies into his dinner and kiss him, locking in the magical roofie spell. Now, he has a full day to tell Paris about this, or talk to the palace staff, or do literally anything. But instead, he decides to go to the palace's royal physician and get him to make an anti-magical love roofie. The physician says, Sure, I guess I can do that, but I don't know if it's going to work. Hans proceeds with this plan anyways, and secretly slips the anti-love roofie potion into his comically large bottle of anti-acid. This should be a fireable, no, jailable offense. Hans proceeds to not get fired nor jailed. But wait, it gets worse. Erica tries to kiss Paris, but gets stopped by Sasha. And then Sasha kisses Paris, locking in the love potion? If it is taking effect, we're not actually 100% sure. All the while they're kissing, Erica is also like standing right there, yelling in their faces, telling them to stop. And I also thought that was really weird and funny.
Stop kissing your wife, Senpai! No!
Remember this, because that means from this part forward in this romance comic, the romance could genuinely be nothing more than a bad reaction to some magical chemicals in Paris's brain. He states somewhere in the middle that he knows deep down that it's not the potion, it's true love, which is all fine and dandy. Until you remember he was subjected to a make you think you deep down fall in love with someone potion. They never confirm if the anti-roofie works. He's just walking around with a year's worth of love potions squirting through his veins. Regardless, the author treats this as if there weren't any implications regarding the romance between Sasha and Paris. You might be wondering, now that Sasha and Paris are married, what do they do to build the relationship with each other? They don't. I swear, for like the first 15 or so chapters, we start each episode with Sasha telling us it's been days, no, weeks since she last saw Paris, but she still develops feelings for him nonetheless. Paris eventually offers to let Sasha go back home rather than stay in the castle with him, and Sasha takes him up on his offer, but not after telling us how hard of a decision it was. Because naturally we all fall in love with the first boy we meet who has daddy issues, common interests, romantic partners don't need any of that hogwash. Getting to know the partner? I find that idea laughable. Quality time? Forget about it. Mutual attraction? Debatable. I actually think they only kiss for like 3 times in the entire comic. While Paris is dropping Sasha off at an inn before they officially separate, Sort Me puts a hit out on Paris. Soon after Paris and Sasha part, Sasha finds out that Paris is in danger. Oh no! Sasha's casual acquaintance is in danger. Sasha's casual acquaintance is in danger! Sasha rushes off to rescue Paris in a very boss babe way by using her crazy hot cool swordsmanship skills. Oh, I forgot to mention, she has swordsmanship skills and magic see people's aura skills and fire powers and healing powers and teleportation powers, exploding powers, vampire make people pass out powers, sea magic spell powers.
Nunchuck skills, bow hunting skills, computer hacking skills.
Man, what can't this girl do? All right. Live. So with Sortney's evil plan having been foiled by some country bumpkins, her words, not mine, she then decides to send Paris out to kill all 3,000 bandits their kingdom has. This should be a really easy task since every creature that comes into contact with Paris seemingly just dies. But Kingy hates his son so much he only sends 200 soldiers to kill all 3,000 bandits. Oh no! This is gonna be a problem for him for sure. So Paris kills all 3,000 bandits, but in the fight, him and his men get trapped in a monster cave. And I'm just now realizing what I said. The hell is a monster cave?
The cave is collapsing.
This is no cave.
What?
So, Sasha starts having magical dream premonitions that Paris is dying. Luckily, her fairy godmother, her magical forest elf, her rock troll from Frozen, the most magical sorcerer in all the kingdom, Lars, shows up to give Sasha a wizard book of spells. Why does he do this? Why does he do this? Sasha then reads this book and uses her new skills to make a magical teleportation bridge to Paris and rescues him from the rock cave. Paris thinks this is a dream, but nonetheless, this is what solidifies his love for her. That or the drugs. It could also be the drugs. So now Paris returns from the war with the bandits, and everyone hails him as a hero. Now he and Sasha go on a date to the town festival. Here, they witness a child being beaten by his father. This enrages Paris so much that he then starts to beat the father to death. Sasha then comforts him by putting her veil over his head and telling him, "No! Stop it! This isn't you! This isn't you!" Let's play another game of Can You Guess? Can you guess what they do with this abused child? Do they 1. Use this as an opportunity to enact a child care program to this boomer kingdom? 2. Kidnap the child without the parents' consent and continue to keep that child because his father probably doesn't pay taxes, ergo, that child is the back taxes he owes? Do they 3. Turn the child into a vampire so he can fight back against his father with his new vampire strength? Or 4. Forget the child even existed? If you think that one of those options sounded too specific, you are correct! They deadass kidnap the child and keep him! When they take the child back to the palace, they ask him what his name is, to which he responds, "Darned little brat." The characters were at a loss for words, and genuinely so am I.
It's a boy!
Oh, he's so beautiful!
What are you gonna call him? Stupid little bitch!
And then we never see the child again. I mean, we do, but like for a total of 12 more panels. This comic unironically spends more time on Paris calling Sasha pesky than a whole ass child they adopted. Speaking of Paris and Sasha, they probably have the worst relationship in any piece of media I have ever seen. Even Google AI knows this matchup is worse than Ralph and Alice from The Honeymooners.
One of these days, pow! Right in the kiss. Bang! Soon. I'm going to the moon.
Seriously, if you had a bingo card for inappropriate behavior from these two, you'd have a blackout within a few panels. Power and control over the other partner? Check. Lack of trust? Check. Jealousy and possessiveness? Check. Distancing your partner from their loved ones? Check. Never apologizing for bad behavior and instead blaming issues on the other partner? Check. Blackmailing the bride into marrying you in the first place? Checkity check check. Paris will threaten to kill anyone who even looks in Sasha's direction. And I'm not talking about other hot young men. I'm talking about her dad. He continuously will just pick Sasha up and throw her around. I hate that. It drives me crazy when male leads do this. Something about the situations in which they pluck the tiny petite female up and just throw them around drives me nuts. There's a scene where Sasha is busy planning for a party and Paris just walks up, picks her up, and walks off with her. Dude, this is a grown-ass woman with responsibilities to take care of. You can't just grab her like a toy and run off with her. There's another time when the pair are fighting and Sasha is clearly upset. And what does Paris do? He grabs her and throws her to the bed, then gets on top of her to pin her down and tell her to chill out. It's so comically ridiculous. Did Paris learn about romance from, I don't know, The Honeymooners? The author seems to have an issue with being able to distinguish a healthy relationship from a toxic one. Time and time again, they write these ridiculous scenarios where one partner literally has the other against the wall, forcing them to get married. I can't believe I'm saying this, but if you have to threaten a girl with death into marrying you, that is not consent.
Stop it. Get some help.
I will never believe a relationship like that will work, and I will rarely ever root for the couple to be happy. If the chick falls in love, it's probably a case of Stockholm Syndrome. On top of Paris blackmailing Sasha into a marriage with him, we're never sat down and told that his magical roofie love potion has ever worn off. So since their entire marriage is based on two contrivances, and their compatibility being worse than a class-assigned lab partner, I was never really sold on their relationship. Honestly, the characters in the comics are all such awful people. I had a hard time finishing the dang thing because everyone was just so unlikable. Obviously, I don't want perfect characters, but I need something. I need something to be able to latch onto and like about these guys, and there is nothing. There's nothing. Most of the characters just suck. While yes, Stortney is evil and kills monkeys and horses and hates Paris, she doesn't really do much else that's worse than what the leads do to stop her. Stortney hits Olga, Sasha's maid. Then Sasha flips out and turns into a vampire and kills 4 of Stortney's maids. Sounds like a little bit of an overreaction from our main lead. Dare I say, villainous. Maybe she'll feel so guilty she couldn't control her vampire powers that she'll- oh, no. We're just gonna roll right past that one, I guess. Whatever. Sortney and Kingy abuse Paris for 20 years. Paris and Sasha kidnap a child and keep him from his father. Erica wants to kiss Paris and constantly tells him she likes him. Paris will just cut off her hair and have her sent to be buried alive with a king. I don't think our leads are that great, you guys. Now, a story doesn't by any means need to have likable characters. You can totally write an entire story where the main lead is a completely irredeemable human being who's just horrible. That said, I don't know if you can write an escapist romance story where the main characters are murderers or willing to sell off a woman they don't like in exchange for some bird eggs. Because at one point in the story, Paris sells Erica for some bird eggs. Like world peace, but that's the bad part. And when one of his knights saves her from being buried alive, he exiles him and says if he ever sees him again, he'll murder him. How am I supposed to lust after this guy when he just sold a woman off to die? If Erica was the main character, then it would be a bad thing. But here, we're supposed to think it's okay? You want to know how I know this is wrong? Because that is literally the opening of the Dragon King's Bride. You might be wondering why Erica was sold off in the first place if Kingy loved her so much. Well, one day, Kingy was in the forest hunting for some dinner when all of a sudden, Lars randomly shows up and magically cures Kingy of his hatred for Paris. Do you believe in God?
Huh?
Chi blast! You're good now.
I'm good now.
After the spell wears off, he goes from a guy who hates his son and treats him terribly while doting on his wife, other son, and stepdaughter, to a guy who loves his son and hates his wife, other son, and stepdaughter. It seems like he's the kind of guy who will pick one person to like, and Sortney was just able to point him towards her instead of Paris. Now, don't get me wrong, Sortney is terrible. She's a terrible, manipulative caricature of a human being. But Kingy doesn't know that. One day he just wakes up and finds his wife slightly more annoying and takes that in turn to completely cut himself off from half of his family, who he spent the past 2 decades doting on and loving. Shelby, when he's inevitably revealed to be the bad guy, because in this story, good guys and bad guys seem to be based purely on genetics, says his turning point was when his dad randomly started ignoring him a few weeks ago and started paying total attention to Paris. It just seems like Kingy is a bad person, and rather than his ill intents being focused on Sortney, they were focused on Paris. It's kind of funny that Lars just randomly shows up to fix issues with Kingy. Like, where was he all of this time when Kingy was beating his own child? Well, we know where he was. He was one castle over, turning a child into an undead bird-murdering vampire. And what's even crazier is the fact that all of the problems in this comic just get so easily solved. A great example of this is when Sasha is first moving into the palace. She's sent away by Sortney to live in the palace pool house, and it's all old and dirty and gross. Oh no! And Sasha wasn't even given any maids to help clean it for her? What is she going to do? So 3 seconds later, Paris has sent over an army of maids and they clean the whole house in less than an hour. When Paris is riding off to fight the 3,000 bandits, Sasha rides off after him because he can't go into battle without knowing that she has feelings for him. As she's riding off, night starts to turn to sunrise, and she's about to go out into the sun, which she can't do because vampire. Will she risk going forward to see the man she loves, or turn back and admit defeat? What is she going to do? So then Paris shows up and gives her some big anti-sun cloak, and they're able to talk. Then, a little later, when Paris is actually fighting the bandits, Sasha has a dream Paris is in danger. What is she going to do? So Lars shows up with a magic book 3 seconds later, and Sasha can now make magical teleporting bridges, and she goes to save Paris. Every single problem in this comic unfolds in the exact same way. Sasha's presented with the problem. She thinks, what could I possibly do about this? 3 seconds pass for her to angst about it, and then a man shows up and fixes everything. The story so clearly wants us to see Sasha as a competent badass boss babe, like when she goes to save Paris from the bandits. But aside from that one extremely contrived instance, every single problem in this comic is solved in no way by Sasha. You can't be telling me that the Dragon King's Bride is better written than this. Now, I don't think Dragon King's Bride is all that, I don't know, good? But somehow it handles the same concept leaps and bounds better. At one point in the story, Lucina, who's basically just Sasha but a natural blonde, goes out to save Hakon's mom after he exiles her to hell prison. She has to sneak by some guards and an ogre, and she and some of her friends plan their way around this trial. She saves Hakon's mom and goes to heal her, but then the ogre wakes up? What is she going to do? She braces for impact, and then Hakon shows up. Now, on its face, this is the same thing. The only difference is that Dragon King's Bride lets Lucina be a person for a minute. She has a problem. She works to fix it. Sure, she still gets saved by a man in the end, but we experience the thought process, the plan, and the execution all with her. We didn't just jump from problem to Deus Ex Machina man. Hakon showing up to save her, while, if we're being honest, is still pretty contrived, feels more like relief than just, oh hey, there's some abs to save the day. This is exemplified pretty well by the ending of the comic. While Paris is off selling his stepsister into the aforementioned sex slavery and eventual burying alive, Sortney decides to make her move for power and pushes the evil king down the stairs, sending him into a stare head coma. Sasha panics and she doesn't know what to do. Her and her squad of good guys come together to plan, and then the king, from beyond the stair coma, makes a decree! Paris is king now! Sortney and Erica, for basically no provable reason, are exiled now! Kingy will now, should he wake from his coma, go off and have his second affair / third marriage! He, for some reason, had the foresight before he was pushed to just randomly make this decree in secret, and then he told his men to just kinda wait? Presumably just, you know, until the dramatic timing was good. Slay. After the good and virtuous evil king makes his move for his son to be in power, the evil queen makes her move for her son to be in power. Aren't they so different? Shelby then tries to kill Sasha, for whatever reason, by locking her in a sunroom. What will she do? Paris shows up to break the magic lock with his poisoned blood. Phew. Sasha almost had to do something. Let's enter lightning round and tell you everything that happens till the end, which is actually just one more f***ing chapter. Shelby tries to kill the king, then Sasha tries to stop him, so he goes to kill her, then Paris goes to kill him. Then Shelby shoves his bloody hand into Sasha's mouth, making her go full vampire mommy mode. Then Shelby kills himself after Paris shoves him out a window. This is somehow not Paris's fault. Then Lars goes to Zahar, and Zahar is like, how did you find me? And Lars says, I was watching you the whole time, just for like a goof. Meaning, if you think about it, Lars is responsible for all of this because he immediately disintegrates Zahar. Sortney gets hung in one panel, Erica gets exiled, the king wakes up, decides to go marry a woman who looks just like his first wife, that bastard. Alec doesn't get any punishment, I never mentioned him, but it's weird, believe me. So anyway, Sasha is now a full-on bloodthirsty vampire. A year passes, and she's still a full-on bloodthirsty vampire. Whatever will she do? So then Paris shows up and loves her. This fixes everything! You're telling me that love cures her of being a hottie vampire? You kidding me? Hasn't he loved her this whole time? She kills multiple people in a vampire rage state midway through. Are you telling me she just did that? Cause she wanted to? Okay, so the plot of Can Love Blossom in a Poisoned Heart isn't great. But what about the art? Perhaps the artistry will have made our viewing better. Now listen, I normally don't like to dog on the art of any of these comics too much since art is hard and drawing comics is also hard. But if I were to ask you what emotion this character is feeling, do you honestly think you could confidently tell me? Wrong, it's fulfillment. All right. How about this? Can you tell me what's going on here? Wrong, it's a PTSD episode. All right. This one's an easy one. What emotion are these people feeling here? Wrong, it's love. I am so serious, I genuinely could not tell what was going on without words, which is not exactly great considering my apple dumpling gang theory. Usually as a comic goes on, the art will slowly get better and better as time goes on, since the artist is drawing these characters constantly. But here, the art actually gets worse. Everything was really stiff and framed in such a way where I just found it odd or lazy or straight up just out of place. They start doing this thing where they draw everything but the character's face, and they just have their face out of frame. So, like, they don't have to draw the face, but it just looks bad. Not to mention the several times there's just blatant compositing issues. During one of the many weddings, the priest's podium just isn't there, so the priest is just a floating torso. And so many things are just layered wrong, so people will have tables on top of them. Not to mention this little guy. I love this little guy so much. But in defense of this artist, if I was given the task of drawing art to this, I wouldn't try very hard either. The strange thing is that the first chapter was genuinely the best the artist had to offer. Characters looked worried, impressed, shocked. But as the story went on, the artist just stopped trying. I could feel their burnout loud and clear, and sadly, the only thing I could find about them is that they did art for this comic. Is Yowback okay? Can someone check in on them? I would hate for their only comic to have worked on be this, of all things. Can Love Blossom in a Poisoned Heart is certainly something. I was left with so many unanswered questions. My head was spinning from just how much was stuffed into the last chapter of the comic. I felt so disappointed by the outcome of everything in this story. Everything just turned out to be such a non-issue that there didn't need to be a mention of things. Like, Shelby's wife just drops a bomb on us saying, "Don't worry, I'm only pregnant." This is treated, for 5 seconds at least, like a big deal since Sasha is infertile because vampire, and this then in turn should have been a factor in deciding who would be the next king. But we straight up never see Shelby's wife ever again! When he dies and Sortney is mourning him, they don't even tell his wife? He died! Someone tell her husband is dead! I didn't know I could have been left feeling like this after finishing the comic, but damn, I feel discontent. In conclusion, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but Dragon King's Bride is written better, and I'm pretty positive that it was written before Can Love Blossomed was. I'm just glad that I'm done reading this thing. So here's my tier list of adaptations by Kongi Jamei's work. I'm just glad there aren't any others. Oh, damn it! After 10 long years, Sasha's Golden Canary genocide has finally ended, with the death toll of 821,250 golden canaries. In the arms of angels, I don't know the words. No, don't kill the canaries. Fly high. Thank you so much to my patrons Izuma, George Regal, Roses in Water, Lady Alpossum, Nowhere to Xander, Icy, TJ, Menti Williams, Char, Mira, Meep Cubed, Eelheart, Bella Noggle, Salo Sketch, Anna the Giant, Abigail, and Selena BB. If you also want to have your name read out loud at the end of each video and have early access to videos as well as exclusive Patreon goodies, you can become a member of my Patreon for only $2 a month.